We welcome you to hour number 2 of the opening Saturday in November, live right here on SportsGrid. It is college football today. He is the mastermind of the college football pigskin. That is Joe Lisi. He is OK Dubs. That is Kevin Walsh. I am Ben Stevens. The start of our second hours the last few weeks has been a little bit contentious up here at the Magic Wall as we display Ben's top 10. And not to toot my own horn, but I think it adds its own significance as we compare my rankings, the top 10, the wait list, the 5 programs on the outside, to what the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is going to see entering Tuesday in the first reveal of the rankings in the 12-team era. Now, you might be looking at a couple of these names here and say, Ben, why are they here this week and were elsewhere a week ago? It's based on performance. And when you have an open weekend and you prove me wrong, as I promised BYU would if they did win last week in Orlando, and boy, they left no doubt, we have to reshuffle a few of the order. This is the wait list on the outside looking in at the top 10 in no particular order, might I remind you. Indiana, Iowa State, Kansas State, Clemson, and Boise State. Again, a big wing for the Broncos last night at home, 56-24 over San Diego State. We start with you.
Yeah. I do adore this segment, but always I have to do the who's not here thing. Now, first of all, I mean, what a great job. Let's get that Clemson team on the wait list at best, right? We had to make that move there, Lisi. Like, look, but you as well, right? I mean, you said mounting evidence, this Clemson dropping in your power rankings with a 17-point win and then a bye week.
No, not
what
from
do you mean? You love this Louisville.
From a spread and gambling perspective, yes, but not from a rankings perspective.
So you're hot on Clemson.
Those are two separate things.
So, again, I just did quick math.
Please.
LSU, Bama off the wait list entirely?
Correct.
I tell you, man, I'm not that I have issue with it, but what an incredible situation where preseason, the SEC, I think, had 9 teams inside the AP's top 25.
Right.
Probably would have as well inside of Ben's top 25 if we went that far. 4 teams inside what is this top 15 here now. Yeah. That is a massive change for what is, I think, still accepted as the best conference in college.
Absolutely, but all 5 of those teams are deserving. And if we're talking about LSU and Alabama, they've shown weaknesses this year, especially Alabama at home. They struggled. They picked up the victory against Missouri. That was a beaten-down Missouri team nonetheless. Yeah. We'll see how they play in a couple of weeks. But LSU, 17-7 at halftime, and you give up basically double digits in the second half. Marcel Reed scrape them up at halftime. 62 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 for 2, 70 yards. Defense looked completely confused, and then Nussmeier with the interceptions. Yeah. Pathetic performance. I have no problem with LSU being out of the top 15.
So I think what's interesting is K-State, who you've consistently given a lot of love to, and I've told you I feel like they are the best team in the Big 12, but I do wonder if they are going to hold up, right? Like with what you always do with the projections, which I think you do a great job with, they're not going to shine as favorably on them as the winner of Bama LSU, which is what we're going to handle next week, I guess.
Completely agree. And just to note, there are 13 teams in the FanDuel Sportsbook with a slight minus money price, minus 110 or better to see the college football playoff. Alabama, one of those 13, 12th best number, minus 115. And Alabama does open as a slight favorite against LSU in Baton Rouge next weekend. The debate for me was Alabama and K-State, who was that final team. I thought Bama's performance last week against Missouri, as good as it needed to be to show that resolve, how Mizzou is still ranked in the top 25 of the AP poll is beyond me. LSU's price to reach the college football playoff, actually about 20 cents behind K-State right now. The Wildcats at plus 130.
What I wanted to add, though, just from this list is you have Indiana in the wait list, which I think is fine. Quite frankly, if you had them in your top 5, I also think that would be fine. Yeah. If you look, their 2 best performances are their last 2 games, which is a 14-point win with your backup quarterback against a Washington group that's shown some resolve this year. Mm-hmm. And again, a drubbing of Nebraska, who obviously put Ohio State on the ropes last week. I am not going to kick and scream because, quite frankly, this is going to be something that you have to kind of deal with because I know you're already pre-worried about what's going to happen to them. Yes. But truly, like, if you put Indiana and Penn State resume side by side, I'd probably take the Hoosiers.
I would have Indiana based off the body of work inside the top 10. What more can you do? You dominate Nebraska, that was a one-loss team heading into that matchup. Big Ten, conference title on the table, and they dominated them 56-7. They go with a backup quarterback, Taven Jackson. They dominate Washington as a 6.5-point home favorite, win by margin. So, again, Indiana is a great story. Again, 5.5 win total. He wins already.
Yeah.
They win today, and they're at 9-0. I mean, they're deserving to be. They're definitely an at-large team right now, hands down, if they only have one loss.
So that's another point. Like BYU being a road underdog last week against UCF, Indiana is just north of a touchdown favorite this week in East Lansing. We'll talk about that game in just a few moments. Indiana has covered in 7 of their 8 wins, all 8 victories by at least 2 touchdowns, the best point differential in the country at plus 254. 3 other teams have a plus 200 point differential or better. Texas, Miami, and one that I'm forgetting at this moment, but Indiana far exceeds everybody. I have made the point because although IU's strength of schedule is 106th and the worst or easiest in the Big Ten up until this point, 17th in terms of the remaining strength of schedule with matchups today on the road against Michigan State, on the road against Ohio State, with Michigan sandwiched in between. Again, if Indiana continues to surpass the odds expectation, they're inside the top 10 next week more than likely. All right, let's get to the top 10 and how this all plays out. We work our way up from the bottom. Texas A&M at number 10, a 23-1 price to win the national championship. BYU now in the top 10, as I promised and kept to my word, now at number 9. The Cougars continuing to defy those odds expectations. Tennessee at 8, Notre Dame at 7, moved Ohio State out of the top 5 and to number 6. After last week's really poor performance, Joe, against Nebraska.
Yeah, the one team that stands out for me is Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, right? That was a game in Navy that potentially they might have covered because of how they play. Dominated them on both sides of the football, turnovers. They're starting to win the line of scrimmage at just the right time. I mean, they are a dangerous team along with A&M. As long as Marcel Reed is under center, they are an electric offense. And what Mike Elko has done with that defense, guys, phenomenal.
The reason there are reports out that Wigman could start today in Columbia blows my mind. Mike, Colin, as in Colin Klein, the OC of the Aggies, it's Marcel Reed, and it's only Marcel Reed.
Yeah, look, my Notre Dame take is the same as it's been. They're going to break my heart.
USC?
It's anywhere. It's anywhere. It's
Army?
How would he pick?
It's Georgia
Lincoln Riley.
It's
ripping Notre Dame.
It's who's ever catching points in that game. That pick's already in. Yeah. I sent them the betting card for that week a long time. Look, if anybody could tell, a huge smile came across my face as I did the math, figuring out Miami cracks that top 5.
Miami does crack the top 5. Let's show that top 5 to round out the top 10. Miami not just inside the top 5, but at 4 in front of Texas.
That's lovely.
A couple of non-covers for the Longhorns, losing outright at home as a favorite against Georgia, although we all anticipated the Dogs were a ripe dog. Last week, it got a little dicey against Vandy in Nashville. And Miami has handled business. I was trying to chase live numbers last week for the Canes against Florida State. They pushed, closing as a 22-point favorite. And Cam Ward had his first game this year without a single touchdown pass in less than 304 yards. Penn State checks in, thought it was a good road win, especially with the backup Bo Perbula in Madison. And then Georgia does remain in front, Kev, of Oregon.
Yeah, look, I respect the fact there, although I do think the Ducks are still worthy of number 1, which is fine. My thing is just, look, I'm not going to – they don't really have – Notre Dame has better wins. Now, the loss is, of course, what the loss is.
Yeah.
But of all of the – like, if Texas was on the waiting list, I don't think that would be insane. I don't believe that.
Right, no.
What happens if Indiana beats Michigan by more than Texas did?
That's a fair argument. I'll just say out of the top 5, seeding is great. The only team I believe –
Come on, say it.
That's great. I said the only team that I don't think has a weakness heading into year, Oregon.
Ooh, I like that. The Ducks dominant. I thought you were making a Penn State point. More on CFT up next.
has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump, his release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
A big Big 12 Saturday on this opening weekend in November of this college football campaign. We welcome you back to College Football Today live right here on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh, and Ben Stevens. The favorites right now to win the Big 12, it's not unbeaten BYU, it's undefeated Iowa State. And the Cyclones back in Ames today hosting Texas Tech. We'll break down this matchup and also look at Kansas State on the road taking on Houston. Let's start with the Cyclones in Ames. They are a perfect 7-0, undefeated for the first time since 1938, a generational season for Matt Campbell and Iowa State. But, Lisi, they're taking on your Red Raiders, so we start with you. 13.5-point spread, nearly 2 touchdowns in favor of the Clones. This is the first time we are seeing Iowa State since their narrow win against Central Florida, down by 2 touchdowns early in the second half and coming back to beat UCF. Can Texas Tech keep this game close? Will Iowa State continue its perfect season?
They might win, but I think Texas Tech will keep it close as long as Brennan Morton starts on the center. If it's a redshirt freshman, Hammond, that gets any type of playing time, especially the way he did in the second half, Iowa State's going to blow them out in terms of this matchup. The key to this matchup is the rushing attack. Taj Brooks, he's averaging well over 119 rushing yards per game. His prop today is 119.5. He's been over that number 5 of 7 times. Why is that important? Because Iowa State's given up 170 yards on the ground. 2 weeks ago, when they knocked off UCF, they gave up 360 plus to that offense. Yeah. And we know that the strength of Iowa State is the secondary. They're only giving up 133 passing yards per game. You need Brennan Morton in that offense. Now, they have the better quarterback. Rocco Beck, I believe, is a better quarterback than Brennan Morton. He's still turnover prone. They're going to look to throw it. Texas Tech giving up 36 points per game. Had them dead to rights, TCU, after trailing 14-3. Turnovers and the redshirt freshman killed them. Iowa State wins, but I'll take the points with Texas Tech with Brooks and Brennan Morton on the road.
I think there's 114 out there in the market. If that becomes the more consistent number, I could look to play the Red Raiders if that becomes a little bit more accessible. Catching 2 touchdowns feels valuable with the Red Raiders' ability to run Taj Brooks here. That was a big part of the cap that you and I agreed on when we played UCF with R.J. Harvey being able to get wild in that game. And the Knights really should have won that football game. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. They didn't. For Iowa State, though, this is not – look, a win is a win. It's not just about that. But Iowa State goes up against Texas Tech, who is allowing the most passing yards in all of college football.
Correct.
The only other team allowing 300-plus passing yards is Ball State. There's only one team that at the power level that is within 30 yards in terms of what they are allowing per game through the air. Rocco Beck's number is sitting around 250 range, give or take. Rocco Becht is someone that preseason Cyclones backers felt could take a real step, right? Sure. Stunned last year. If he has juice this season, if there's progressions made, I feel like they're still waiting for those progressions. I don't feel like Rocco Becht has delivered the caliber of season that they were really hoping for. Certainly not a caliber of season that you would have expected if I told you Iowa State was 7-0. Yeah. I want to see Rocco Becht shine today. Win, lose, or win. But, I want to see Rocco Becht go out there and throw for 300 yards. Look like a quarterback that can carry this team to a Big 12 title.
The Red Raiders, also the worst scoring defense in the Big 12, giving up more than 36 points per game. Third worst among Power 4 defenses in terms of scoring output this year. Only Mississippi State and Purdue are worse. What the Red Raiders have done well, Lisi Guy, to your credit, they are 2-0 against the spread as an underdog, including an outright victory against Arizona. The last time we saw Iowa State against UCF, they gave up 354 yards on the ground. It was also the first non-cover for the Cyclones in their 6 games against FBS opponents this season. Taj Brooks, his rushing yards prop, 119 and a hook. He has rushed for at least 109 yards in all 7 games he has played this year. And quickly to your point, it's not just Rocco Becht that was one of the reasons people were very optimistic about Iowa State. Listen, it was my first win total bet, over 7.5. They win today. They're favored by 2 touchdowns. They already cashed that ticket for me. It was all 5 of his returning offensive line back. It was his 2 top targets in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, both of their receiving yardage numbers in the low 80s today. They should be able to expose this Texas Tech defense. 56.5 is that total. Iowa State over in 4 of 6 games against FBS foes this year. Let's head to Houston, where scoring has been at a premium for the Cougars in their first year with Willie Fritz. Just 14 points per game. They are the worst scoring offense in the country. But K-State defensively, Joe, has not been all that solid. You see the total, 45 and a hook. Houston has gone under in 7 of 8 games this year. They've only scored more than 17 points twice. K-State still very much alive in the Big 12 title race despite dropping their first conference game against BYU. Third best number for the Wildcats, Joe. What do you want to see out of K-State today on the road?
I want to see Avery Johnson attack that secondary. Statistically, Houston only given up 173 passing yards per game. It looks good, but they're allowing 61% completion percentage, have allowed 13 touchdowns, and only 4-6 interceptions. So they have had success through the air opposing offenses. Willie Fritz has done a fantastic job. I say that 3.5 win total, a rebuild after Holgerson. They did pick up the victory, believe it or not, over Utah. They can't score, but they scored more than the Utes last week, 17-14. Zion Chris did account for 100 total yards taken over for Donovan Smith. They're going to look to run it, shorten the game, but I need to see K-State. We know they can run it. I need to see Avery Johnson attack them over the top with that passing attack. They're averaging 211 through the air. Yeah. I think K-State wins, but I'm going to take the points with Houston. At home, they could be spunky. Willie Fritz, I like as a dog.
I lean K-State here because of everything you mentioned with Houston's inability to score. I mean, Zion, you said it like it was a good thing. Like the quarterback had 100 total yards of offense. He ran for 45.
Yeah.
He threw for 61.
That's a good effort for a backup. Yes, have you watched Donovan Smith, former Texas Tech quarterback? That is up this year.
Not a good effort. I will not let that be said. No. Now I love K-State. Yeah. K-State by quite a lot.
Houston 3-3 against the spread this year as a dog. K-State, one of the best cover teams in the Big 12 with Chris Kleiman. Last 2 years, though, away from the Little Apple, just 2-6-1 ATS. Some unbeaten teams playing this Saturday. Next.
has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two teams enter this Saturday at a perfect 8-0 record for us to break down right now. 8 remaining undefeated FBS programs enter the month of November. Miami is a perfect 8-0 for the first time since 2017. And today, back in South Florida, booked as nearly a 3-touchdown favorite against Duke. Manny Diaz revenge spot? Perhaps run out of South Florida for Mario Cristobal? Does that factor into the narrative for today? The Blue Devils last week, Kev, at home, catching 11.5 points from SMU, had a positive +6 turnover margin, and still found a way to lose that football game at home in overtime. They're catching 3 touchdowns today on the road against Miami. But the Hurricanes have been impressive. A perfect 8-0, covered in their first 3 FBS games. Have only covered once, though, in their last 4. How do you see the spread for today with the Canes taking on the Blue Devils?
So I've gone back and forth quite a bit on this number because I do think under 21 is a really nice number for the Hurricanes, right? I mean, they laid a touch over that to Florida State. Duke, and I know Duke did win that game, but I think they're around comparable opponents there, so getting under it is pretty tempting. I think Miami's offense should be able to do whatever they want, really. The Duke defense can't stop the run, and Cam Ward is Cam Ward. Then the Manny Diaz stuff started to beat me up a little bit here because I do believe that there are certain teams who find themselves in Super Bowl-style spots where this is our season, and I'm not sure Manny Diaz will want any game more than this one. And he's not going to get it, but if you go out there and give it your absolute best, then you can stay inside 3 touchdowns all of a sudden, especially when you're a defensive coach, right? Because you can really key that side of the football. Then I started to worry, though, that Manny Diaz is a dead man walking because he's going up against Cam Ward, coming off of his first, if you will, bad game of his season. He caught a touchdown. Cool. He didn't throw for any. He had thrown for 2 in every single game at minimum this year. He's thrown for 3+ in all but 1 prior to last week. It was the first time he didn't throw for 300 yards. Yeah. Now, I don't have trends that are telling you that Duke can't stop the pass. I don't know who the best quarterback Duke has played. I guess Jennings last week. They've played nothing of the caliber of Cam Ward. Again, you can tell these are the ramblings of a madman who can't figure out confidently how to attack this game. Where I likely will settle up is just playing a Cam Ward bounce back. Miami wants this kid to win the Heisman. That means passing touchdowns. If you make me make a bet, my favorite would be Ward over 2.5 passing scores.
It's a good look in regards to that. We know they could put up points on everybody. They've not been contained all season long in regards to the offense. I will say a bright spot for Miami, Ben, you know, I've been on Miami in back-to-back weeks, has been the rushing attack. You know, we saw Fletcher do it and Martinez against Louisville. They backed it up last week as well. Martinez, $148 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. They're averaging now well over 190 yards per game to take some of the pressure off of Cam Ward.
Yep.
Back 5 weeks ago, Cam Ward was averaging 405 yards per game. He's down to 366, so there's more offensive balance. Duke's secondary is pretty good, though. They're giving up $166 through the air, 57% completion percentage. Where they're weak was last week's SMU pounded for 4.2 yards per carry and 211 on the ground. Again, I would take the points because of Malik Murphy. I think he's good enough to keep them within this number. Miami wins, but Murphy, 295 last week with 3 tutties. I think he'll keep them and score some points. Give me Duke with the number.
Duke, best passing defense in the ACC. The numbers you highlighted. 3rd worst rushing defense, however, allowing more than $160. And both Mark Fletcher Jr. and Damian Martinez has rushed for more than 70 yards in each of the last 2 games for Miami. The passing yards prop today for Cam Ward, 307 and a hook. No longer the Heisman Trophy favorite because of a poor performance last week against Florida State. 208 yards, sacked 4 times. Miami's O-line has allowed at least 3 sacks in all 4 ACC games this year. They allowed just 2 in the first 4 games. Again, let's look at Cam Ward's props for today. 307 and a hook, 2.5 passing touchdowns. Kev, to your point, had thrown for at least 2 touchdowns in the first 7 games this year for Miami. Speaking of quarterbacks, Curtis Rourke expected to be back for Indiana today. The Hoosiers are 8-0 for the second time ever in program history. First time since 1967. And, Joe, they've covered in their last 7. A 7.5-point favorite today in East Lansing. Quickly, how do you see it?
I think Michigan State could be in number. They've won 2 of the last 4 meetings. One last year, 24-21. I think they can run it, shorten the game, keep Rourke on the sidelines to cover the 7.5.
Aiden Childs is hot off the bye, averaging 8.4 yards per attempt, completing over 73% of his passes. SMU covers.
Michigan State has been pretty good against the number as a dog. 3-2-1 ATS. We go even faster next.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We welcome you back to College Football Today, live right here on SportsGrid, and some big breaking news to talk about very quickly before we even go faster. Okay, that works too. We are going pretty fast. Bryson Daly, the quarterback for Army, has been ruled out today as the Black Knights take on Air Force in a service academy battle. Of course, one of the 3 games in the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Bryson Daly, who has the most rushing touchdowns this year in college football, Kev, quickly here, it has moved the line from 21.5 in favor of Army against the Falcons now to just 18.5, and a total has worked its way down to 38 and a hook.
And I'm sure people might think, oh, come on, triple option. Bryson Daly was so good that, quite frankly, you could throw him in a Heisman conversation and it wouldn't feel ridiculous. He has 7 passing touchdowns this season, which is outrageous because he's thrown the ball 47 times. He also has 19 scores on the ground. He's having a 26-touchdown season, which puts him on par in terms of total touchdowns with Cam Ward. Yeah. This guy is having an unreal season so far. Dwayne Coleman is going to be the step-in quarterback here. Certainly, at least that's the expectations from the books. Yeah. Minus 700 was your Bryson Daly anytime touchdown. I'm seeing Coleman right now on one book at minus 525.
It will affect the offense for Army. Now, they're undefeated. I liked the Air Force prior to the game and the injury. Yeah. Now with Daly being out, but I will say this. Last year, Air Force was 8-0 and lost to Army in this same spot. Now you're getting basically, well, you were 3 touchdowns, a rivalry game. I know they haven't stepped up. They're 1-6 overall, but this is their Super Bowl. And if they do remember, I expect them to play out and cover the 18.5.
We will continue to break down that game later in our third hour. Army is 7-0 for the first time since 1996. Air Force, the only team in college football at the FBS level who has failed to cover any number this year. All right, Kevin Walsh, now we must go even faster.
Oh, all right, and we have enough time to do this again, I guess. RPO, here we go. Spin it, ring it, rip it. All right, they love it. Man, oh, man, here we go. ACC, check Panther, check Seminole, check home dog to North Carolina. What a disgrace this team is. Quite frankly, I don't even think Deion should take the job if they offer it to him, with the way people have been saying that they shouldn't hire him throughout the cycle. Amarion Hampton might have 1,000 yards in this game alone, Joe. North Carolina is the only way I can look because Florida State is lifeless.
Yeah, check pink slip for Norvell. I mean, here's the thing. We talk about now certain teams becoming bowl eligible. North Carolina, 4-4 overall. Hampton and Criswell, the quarterback, they dominated Virginia last week, put up 41 points. I like that. They're on the road in Tallahassee. It doesn't matter that Florida State has won 2 straight in the series. I don't care. Yeah. They have no offensive identity. They might check out in regards to this matchup. North Carolina are bust for me.
UNC needed a big one. They beat Virginia 41-14. Outright the Heels were as a 4-point underdog. Their only cover this year. And just to reiterate where Florida State is, they are one of the worst scoring offenses in the country. They have gone under in 7 of 8 games this year. They are a 1-7 football team with a loss today, as is the expectation, even in Tallahassee, even inside Doak Campbell. Florida State would have 8 losses in a season for the first time since 1975, the year before Bobby Bowden took over and reinvigorated that program in Tallahassee. Let's go to an SEC showdown. Today on the plains of Jordan-Hare, Joe, Auburn more than a touchdown favorite against the real good dogs, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hugh Freeze has said, listen, he's sick of seeing Diego Pavia out there. He's lost to Pavia twice. Last year when Pavia was at New Mexico State, they were a 25.5-point underdog in Jordan-Hare a couple of years ago when Freeze was at Liberty and Pavia was still playing for the Aggies. Can Diego Pavia and now Vanderbilt pull off the upset today?
They certainly can. They covered against Texas. I thought Texas kept them in terms of that matchup. They win it by 3, get the backdoor, not the backdoor cover. They get the late touchdown. Otherwise, they would have dropped by 10, but still cover the, basically 21-point spread. To me, here's the thing. They're 5-0 as dogs this year, Vanderbilt. They're going on the road. Auburn's defense, legit, 112 rushing yards allowed. To me, I think this is a step-up spot. You don't win this, you freeze on the hot seat yet again. Auburn rolls.
Quick mini complaint here. I don't like that Vanderbilt hangs the whole way with Texas and is unranked, so we can shoot up a Washington State team who won by 3 against a team. They were a 17.5 point.
John Matier.
Yeah, no, listen, they're 7-1. I understand. I just think it's so, again, this is my problem with rankings. It's like, oh, whoa. 2015 loss. We have to move. Well, they played the 5th team in your own rank. It just doesn't make any sense. With that said, the We Swear Auburn is Good committee finally got one last week when they beat Kentucky. They're hoping they get another one today against Vanderbilt. If I'm getting over a touchdown with Vandy, it feels like it's the only thing you're supposed to do.
The Doors a perfect 5-0 against the number as an underdog this year. Started out going over in all 5 games, under in 3 straight. Auburn under in 4 of 5 SEC games because, as Joe mentioned, that Tigers defense is pretty darn good. A Big Ten? Wait, USC and Washington's a Big Ten game? Oh, yes, it certainly is in Husky Stadium today up in Seattle. Washington, a slight home underdog, Kev, against this USC team. Washington perfect 4-0 at home this year, 0-4 away from Seattle. But they're in Husky Stadium. USC 0-3 straight up away from Los Angeles, albeit the neutral site win in Las Vegas to open the year against LSU. How do you break it down?
It's just hard to trust USC because, quite frankly, I think they are much, much, much better than that 4-4 record suggests. But they are 4-4, and we know that the college football playoff is without of their reach here. This Washington team is fighting for a little bit more, it feels like, to kind of show their mettle throughout this season. They, I think, had big expectations going into that Indiana game, and they ended up getting rolled there a little bit. I would look towards Washington in their own building here, Lisi, but man, if this is old school Pac-12, don't we play this right through 55.5?
You can play it through 55.5. Wouldn't shock me. I think both of those offenses potentially can eat, especially turnovers could be critical. Will Rogers with 2 interceptions against Indiana. They won 2 straight in the series. This is one of my best bets of the day. I think USC rolls 4-4 overall in terms of this situation. You have to dominate Washington. I understand they're undefeated at home and beat Michigan, but Woody Marks and that offense got going against a blue-collar defense in terms of Rutgers. Run it, throw it, score 50, dominate this game from start to finish.
Woody Marks over his rushing yards prop. I like that look. It's 94.5. Washington best pass defense in the country, but allowing nearly $150 on the ground. A couple of tight numbers today in Big Ten country. That includes the battle for the bowl, the Heartland Trophy. Under the lights inside Kinnick Stadium, it's Iowa and Wisconsin. The Hawkeyes, a 2.5-point favorite, Kev, against Wisconsin. The Badgers had a shot last week to make a statement. They falter against either Drew Aller or Bo Prabula at home in Madison. How do you see the rivalry game between the Hawks and the Badgers?
I don't know. Am I Mr. Hawkeye? I feel like when I see this team on a consistent basis, they feel like they're being undervalued here. It's one of the reasons I talk about Ohio State's resume not being as fraudulent because of their dominant victory over this Iowa Hawkeyes team who hung throughout the first half. I do not buy Braden Locke. Wisconsin, they turned it around. Yeah, against some pretty bad teams. The Rutgers win was nice. Iowa under a field goal, Joe, looks phenomenal.
You know who's fraudulent? Luke Fickell's fraudulent. Hasn't had a big game in Wisconsin yet. I don't love Braden Locke, but I think he's better than Brendan Sullivan in this matchup. I'll take Wisconsin. Listen, I just believe in Wisconsin a little bit better than Iowa. If I could take this game off the board, shove it to the side, I'll be happy with that, but it's Wisconsin or bust for me.
Iowa 18-2 straight up in November games since 2019 has been booked as a favorite in both Big Ten home games this year. They're 2-0 against the spread, scoring 40 in both. The Hawkeyes over in 7 of 8. Lisi guy quickly. Nebraska laying less than a touchdown against UCLA, trying to get bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. Will they be stuck on 5 once again against a feisty UCLA team as a dog?
Based off last week, they should dominate this team and put up a double-digit win. But what did I tell you? I said I can't wait to see Matt Rule's face in the fourth quarter if this game is close. He's got that dumbfounded look on his. How did we get here? Yet again, become bowl eligible, Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, does Nebraska land a touchdown? Yeah, they're not covering that number. They just can't.
Also, we're going to have to do a study into Oklahoma State in 2024
It's a fraud.
in a little
Study
bit.
done.
Coach Bowden joins us next.
Study.
Alabama has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's the opening weekend in November of this 2024 college football season. Each and every week, each and every game adds on a little bit more significance. So you need that coaching analysis and insight from the one, the only. It is Coach Terry Bowden joining us here on College Football Today to get you ready for the Week 10 slate. Coach, 28 years of head coaching experience at the collegiate level. You know about that added importance of November. How critical is this final month of the regular season?
Well, it's if you try to figure out who's going to be in the college football playoff, the teams you pick still have big games. You can't pick Texas unless you see Texas against Texas A&M. So we've got big games left over. So I think this November is the month where you start playing against the best teams that are in the conference, and that's when it has to be determined. That's why it's great when you have a playoff because everybody stays in the game till the last of the season.
The CFP rankings revealed for the first time in the 12-team era on Tuesday night. And, Coach, we get that idea of big games in these significant spots on this first Saturday in November. It's a top 5 tilt in Happy Valley. Number 3, Penn State. Number 4, Ohio State. The Buckeyes, a 3.5-point road favorite. Total working its way up to 47.5. Coach, it's one of the shorter spreads we have seen in this game in quite some time. Just 3.5 points. How competitive do you expect the matchup between the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions to be?
Oh, I think it's going to be very competitive, and I think 3.5 points is a good separation between the two teams. But every year it seems like Penn State gets to be 5-0, 6-0, and then they play Ohio State or Michigan, and everything goes bad. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to get that out of your head. But they're a great team. We'll see how far the quarterback Galar can play. If he goes in like Cook at Missouri and has to come out, that can be a problem. But to me, Ohio State is the key. They have got to play up to their talent level. I talked to a couple of pro scouts this week. They still consider them to have the most NFL talent on their team, and they have to play like that. And I think the offense, it starts with the offensive line and helping the running game.
Coach, let's look at James Franklin and Penn State. They've lost 7 straight in the series to Ohio State. As a head coach, what can James Franklin do to put that out of the kids' minds, especially from an emotional aspect, and the fact that they're playing at home at 12 noon today?
Well, I think, again, he's Ohio State's usually the better team. But I'm telling you, playing at home is going to be something that is that's a tough place. I've coached in that stadium, and I've played in that stadium. And if the fans get into it, it's a tough game. But he's just got to talk confidence. I don't think those players, they weren't there when most of those losses happened, and they're having a great year. They've got their confidence back. I think it's going to be a great close game, but I'm going with Ohio State again to win and cover.
That would be 8 in a row for Ohio State. Penn State and James Franklin just 1-9 against the Buckeyes in his decade so far in Happy Valley. Coach, one of the great rivalries always around this time of year, we go to Jacksonville, the 103rd all-time meeting between Georgia and Florida. Number 2 Georgia taking on Florida, and the line is still north of 2 touchdowns. But Coach Bowden, the Gators have looked a lot better in this last month. How do they try to keep this game competitive today against the Bulldogs?
Well, they've got to play great defense and hold Georgia down. Georgia is kind of a methodical team, although right now they're the hottest team in the country along with Oregon. They're kind of methodical, moving the ball downfield. And I think Florida's defense has got to hold them in. But I think that the key to the game is Florida's quarterback, DJ Lagway, and how he's going to play as a true freshman in a big game. Because that game, the largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville, that has a big-time feel to it. So I think the key here is that they can handle the pressure that's going to put that quarterback. Because Georgia's going to stop that run pretty good. They've got to get pressure and put the game on that freshman quarterback's shoulders. They've been pretty good at hitting the deep ball at Florida. So, again, Georgia's got to stop the run, make the game fall into that freshman quarterback's hands, and don't give up the big play.
Coach, both teams are coming out of a bye week, and I've said that, sometimes the bye week does benefit the underdog. It allows them to prepare, maybe implement something a little bit new. Do you see that as well? What can Florida do to potentially keep it close outside of Lagway?
Joe, you hit a key factor in college football. When you have a bye week and you're not favored in a game or you're expected to get beat, it's more likely you're going to put in some junk or put in some new stuff. Be willing to take a risk. If you're the winning team that's on a stretch like Georgia is, they're saying to themselves, let's just keep playing our game. We've got our talent. We're better on the field. And they have a chance to play with their game. I think the key is what can Florida do? They got this freshman quarterback, but he can run very well. So if there's going to be some wrinkles in the game, expect Florida to do it. They have nothing to lose. They've got the worst part of their schedule coming up. They need to get a victory. I don't think it's going to be this Saturday, but I think you'll see almost anything happen in their game plan.
Brutal for the Gators this stretch here in November. Florida has covered, though, in 3 consecutive games as an underdog. Now we go to a huge Saturday, Coach, in the ACC. Clemson ranked 11th on a 6-game win streak where they have looked like one of the best teams in the country. They host Louisville today. Double-digit spread in favor of the Tigers. It's 10.5. How does Clemson keep the good times rolling against the Cardinals?
Well, they've just got to keep that swagger going. After the first game loss, they're on a roll, and the reason that they're playing so well is they've gotten better every week. And that always comes down to Cade Klubnik. He has improved his game and gotten better and better, and as he gets better, their entire team gets together. They play pretty good defense, but I think this is the toughest game they've got left on their regular season schedule. Louisville is really an outstanding football team. All 3 of their losses have been against top 25 teams, and by 7 points, by 7 or less, one-score games. This is going to be a great challenge for Clemson. But to be honest, the home field at Clemson, I coached there 2 years as an analyst. We never lost at home. It's a tough place to play. Their home field advantage is going to give them a chance to win the game and against the spread. And I'm going with Clemson all the way in this game.
The Tigers have covered in 4 of their 6 wins on this streak, averaging 48.5 points per game. Just for comparison, Miami is the top scoring offense in the nation, averaging 46.8 points per game. Clemson coaches look darn good in this 6-game win streak there in Clemson, South Carolina. The coach, Terry Bowden, getting you set for this Week 10 Saturday slate, the opening weekend of November. Coach Bowden, enjoy week number 10. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, fellas. Talk to you next week.
Great having you here as always. We give you some end zone excellence, some Pater picks, and some plus money underdogs to keep an eye on next on College Football Today.
fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We round out our second hour live right here on the opening Saturday of November. It's college football today on SportsGrid. We give you some picks. Let's cash some tickets.
Whoa, it's that Pater Picks o'clock, baby.
That's right, man.
What time is it? Pater Picks o'clock.
Come on now.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yep. Seems like it's Pater Picks
No watch
o'clock.
on you, huh?
No, I'm not a watch
guy.
guy. No, I don't like anything restricting.
Right.
On the wrist.
Just a flag check.
Man, that was tempting.
That was
it was.
tempting. I know. I know. I got you.
Pater Pick's been hot so far, which we love to see. Mine has
Mostly
moved probably a bit. It's funny. I know this is supposed to be better. It is what it is. The Army-Navy game, or Army-Air Force, is thrown off now. But Kanye Udo, -105 to score. I think it was a really nice number. It's probably up a touch there with Daly out.
Do you feel better about it?
No, I truly hate the game now.
Yeah.
Because now that Daly's not out there, they may just kind of run wild and everything's a little bit more fast and loose. I don't know. I'm a little thrown off here, but I did like Udo to score. Didn't score last week here. Realistically, I did get now the best of the number, but the game's a little wonky.
Yeah, we swept the board last week, didn't we? Or
Most of us, yeah.
I thought
3
we
of
did.
4. Yeah,
I turned it off after we hit the first.
Wow, you two are wrong.
No, stop. We'll get it
guys
today.
are
We're
wrong.
going to sweep the board. Michigan, I said it will be in this game. I believe number 1 team coming into the big house. What does Michigan have to do? They got to run it. You go to the bell cows, baby. Big game, Donovan Edwards, 33.5 is his in-game total, plus 240 to hit pay dirt. He's going to put some coin in my pocket. Go Coins, go Coins.
First time you bet him this year, I think.
Yeah, I think so. What's his passing touchdowns prop?
Yeah.
Threw one last week against MSU.
That's not right. I did.
You know what? That's not right by you. That's not right by you.
That actually wasn't a shot.
Gave
That
out
was-
Coy Eakin last week.
And it hit big
They
time.
did big. Well,
I'm
what a
also
catch,
going.
too.
I'm going to that game. I think we see some points in Ann Arbor. Noah Whittington has come up. You pointed this out. Some weird usage and utilization out of Jordan James. Still the lead back. Still Oregon's leading rusher last week. But Noah Whittington, in his first 2 Big Ten games, less than 60 yards. In his first 3, in his last 2, 98 yards, including 56 on the ground, a touchdown last week against Illinois. 2 receiving scores in the last 2 games, 3 total touchdowns, plus 195 for Whittington to find Pater. And we joke, kind of, but our executive producer here, Chris Kofsky, been involved in the Pater picks now for 2 consecutive weeks. We thought about keeping him out for a third because we avoided a clean sweep because of Christopher. He's back today, though. Winshaw Judkins, plus 125 for Ohio State to hit Pater. That number seems to be good value. An Ohio State offense that has struggled on the ground, and that's why you're getting a plus money price on Judkins against a good Penn State defense. But this is it, Chris. Doesn't hit this week. We got to go to other people. AJ behind the sticks. We got Joe Frizo maybe. We'll figure it out. Now we'll get some underdog money line prices, at least two of us.
Udo and Judkins, quite frankly, you could parlay those together and leave these guys are nuts. Cops in a bounce back spot. I like him here. Now let's go for the loot. Some people will be giving you money line dogs. Other will be giving you a loser. That's me. I don't think I hit one of these all year. We just keep chugging along. Passing touchdown each quarter, Louisville and Clemson. Klubnik throws a lot of heaters, and my oh my does that pass defense from Clemson give up a ton as well through the air. Shuck, show. What do you got for me, kid? Throw a couple of them. Passing touchdown each quarter, plus 400.
Hey, I like the look. Maybe you get me in on the over in Louisville a little bit later tonight. So I'm going to stick to the big house. I like Michigan with the points. If they're going to strike the upset, it'll be here. Again, because the number one team in the country is coming to their house, they'll get an emotional lift coming off the rivalry game. Plus 480. You never say never, somehow, some way. Only one home loss in the last 3 years.
6-game win streak, by the way, for Clemson. Cade Klubnik, 20 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. I go to Pittsburgh. I don't think the line is correct. I think the Panthers keep this within 7.5 tonight in Dallas against SMU. They've won outright in both of their games as an underdog this year against Cincinnati and West Virginia. Both power conference competition. I think we see some points tonight against SMU. I think it's a big Eli Holstein game, and Pittsburgh stays perfect, improving to 8-0 for the first time since 1981.
Yeah, let's see what we got here, man. Let's see what we got here. I don't know. I feel like my plus 400 Sis has some real life.
I actually really like it. I think it's very, very good. Tyler Shuck, 329 in 3 of the last 4 ACC games.
Judkins for 2+.
Oh, now you're in on it, huh?
I
Chris,
like Wiskowski today.
Chris, your bounce back spot.
I like Wiskowski
bounce
today.
back spot. And everybody.
No,
three's up in the air as we get to our third and final on college football today, live right here on SportsGrid.
Has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.